Steve.
Hello, Susan.
Welcome home, Steve. Let's see how you look. You look fine.
Gee, so do you. But then you always did.
You really think so?
I always thought so.
Let's sit down. Gee, Steve, it's wonderful to have you home again. Just like old times.
Yeah.
Would you like some coffee?
Yeah, I'd like a cup of coffee.
Okay. You seen Flavia?
Oh, sure, she was down at the L station to meet me.
Did she happen to mention anything about Thursday?
Thursday? No.
Steve, there's something I want you to know. I still feel exactly the same about you as I did before.
Before I went to jail?
Let's not say that word again, ever.
Okay. That's a deal.
Flavia seemed to think that Thursday would be a good day for you and me to get married. I think so, too. I suppose a girl should wait for a gentleman to propose, but I guess I'm pretty anxious. Flavia's pretty anxious, too. What's the matter, Steve?
Well, Susan, it's just that for the past 18 months, I've done a lot of thinking. And the more I thought about it, the more I knew that it was no good.
What was no good, Steve?
Everything that has to do with the fellow that's just out of... Honey, you see, I'm not just an ordinary guy anymore. I'm an ex-con. I can't take a glass of beer or drive an automobile. Every morning I have to report to some parole officer and say, Mister, I've been a good boy all week.
Oh, but it'll be over in 6 months, Steve. And we'll be happy. That's all that matters.
Sorry, lady. I saw you up the street talking to Dan Matson, didn't I?
Yeah, I was talking to Dan.
You were on parole.
I was just passing the time of day with him.
Look, Abbott, you made a nice living driving a cab, didn't you?
Well, suppose I did.
Then you drove a cab when some of the boys knocked off a freight car full of silk. For that, you got 18 months up the river. Now you're out. Try and stay out.
Don't worry. I'm gonna stay out.
Your own mother couldn't give you better advice than that.
Well, there's the whole story for you. Oh, no, I'm not taking you on any honeymoon where we have to check in with the cops 3 times a day. That's why I'm getting out of town.
Out of town?
As soon as my parole is up. I gotta begin all over again, at the bottom, in some strange place and by myself.
I thought you loved me.
But I do love you, Susan.
That isn't the kind of love I care much about. While you're away in that strange town, you might meet somebody. Suppose somebody here, he and I might get to like each other. Answer me one thing, Steve. Are you willing to take that chance?
I have to.
I guess there isn't very much else I can say then.
You know what, Steve? In Czechoslovakia, a wedding lasts 3 days.
It does? I didn't know that.
Well, you always told me when people get married, they're happy.
Oh, did I?
Flavia, let's not talk about it.
What's wrong?
You see, Flavia...
You know, that's the same way Mrs. Murphy acted before she had her baby. Something's wrong with her, Steve. And please don't tell me I'm too young to understand.
Sit down, sweetheart. The reason that Susan feels bad, and I feel bad, worse than she does, is because, well, we're not going to be married.
But, Steve, I got it all planned. I even got Mr. McCarthy for you. Mother says you have to have something new and something old for the wedding. And I've got something old. Mr. McCarthy's 87.
Yes, I know, darling, I know. He'd do fine, but... You see, I'm gonna stay here for a little while. And then I've got to go away again.
But you've just been away. Where are you going? And who's gonna look after you?
Well, I don't know, darling. I guess I'll have to look after myself. But all the time that I'm away, I'm gonna think about you and Susan every minute. So that'll make it almost as good as though we were together, won't it?
No, it won't.